This is Death or Prison, brought to you by leanonmeusa.org. We bring you stories of hope and encouragement.
Hello and welcome to the Death or Prison podcast, brought to you by leanonmeusa.org. I am Johnny Branham.
I'm Oswald Newbold.
And I'm David Ray.
And we're continuing the conversation that we were having with D. Ray in this first episode. And we walked through his life as a child growing up, a house full of faith, youngest of 5 siblings, into getting married and having 4 kids of his own. And there are some challenges there where, there was some sickness and some things of that nature going on that caused stressors that ended up leading to a crime being committed. And where we left off, you were walking us through your going into the county jail in lieu of a attempted murder. And there's 2 things that I kind of want to talk about, because you mentioned, number one, the experience of coming in, but I also want you to talk a little bit about those individuals who said that we saw something going on with you, but we just didn't know how to approach it. I think that's important, because sometimes people are around people that are about to do something or engage in something, and we just remain silent and allow that person to drown in what it is that they're going through.
And it was true for me, because people saw me slipping and going down a slippery slope. And, sometimes we try to let people be independent and handle things on their own. It's a very American point of view about just solving your problems on your own, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, and not depending on anybody but yourself. But sometimes when you see people you love that are struggling, you got to step in. You got to just say, hey, I can see you're having a hard time. I've been through a hard time myself. I can understand what you're going through. Let me help.
It could end and no excuses for anyone, but could it be sometime it's hard to talk to people about difficult conversations because we never taught to have the difficult conversations in life. The surface stuff we talk about all the time, but real life, deep stuff, sometimes people don't know how to approach it because we're not used to talking about the difficult, sensitive, I call it a heavy lift. The conversations that's a heavy lift, because we know it's serious. And wow, man, I'm just sitting here thinking about that. People see something but don't know what to say, but want to say something. And I think this has happened so many times in life with people. After the fact, they say, I saw something, I wanted to say something, but I just didn't know what to say. Yeah,
I think that's true, and I think that's something that the family of God could be better at in general, because we're told to bear each other's burdens, and we can't do that unless we talk about these things openly and know one another in such a way as that we can see what people are struggling with and see what they're going through and be able to help.
So you're in the county jail. What are you thinking when you in the cell at night?
Well, they put me in an isolation cell.
Okay.
Because I think they were worried about me harming myself. So I'm in an empty room with no mattress, no pillow, no blanket, just confined, one-man cell, thinking that my life was over, that this was the end. I couldn't see any way forward at this point. Yes. Just everything had come to an end. My wife was gone, my kids were gone, job's gone. Everything that I had was gone, and it was just me by myself in a single man cell in the county jail.
Yeah. Wow. How long were you in the county?
About 17 months.
17 months before meeting your fate. And when you finally reached your fate, how did that come out? You were in court. Like, what was your fate you met?
It was a long road through the county jail. I like I said, I didn't know how that was going to end up. It took me. It was after my arraignment before I even met with my lawyer for the first time. I had a public defender.
Okay.
Because I knew I was guilty, so we didn't see the point in hiring a lawyer. What good does a expensive lawyer do for somebody who's clearly guilty. So,
Okay.
so we went with the public defender. But really, the first days at the county jail, looking back on it, it was difficult. But if I were to look at something that was a turning point for me, it was those very first days in there. There was one night where one of the officers in the jail walked by and opened up the little flap in the door and leaned his head down in there to speak to me. And he called me by name and said, "You don't know me, but I'm friends with your mom and dad, and just wanted to let you know that a lot of people are praying for you, and everything's going to be okay. It's going to be hard, but things are going to turn out okay." And it's hard to believe at that point, but looking back on it now, I could see that he was right. I had entered into a very difficult time in my life, but it was a turning point.
Where is God in this time period? Were you praying at this point, or was it more or less shock, or how was that?
A lot of shock. I was trying to pray at this point, but it's those groanings that can't be uttered, if I can steal a Bible phrase. Didn't really even know how to express what's in my heart at that point. A lot of tears, a lot of just raw emotion, and not as many words that I could encapsulate into a prayer. But I could hear God saying through through those first days in jail, like, everything else is gone, but I'm still here. We're gonna make it through this. It's not gonna be like it was before, but we're gonna make it through and make something of this.
You make it through the 17 months in the county. You didn't get a private lawyer. You got a public defender. It's time to meet your fate. The judge about to hand down a sentence. Did you know the sentence you were about to get already?
The lawyer had arranged a plea agreement with the state. It was kind of a negotiated plea.
Okay.
They gave the judge some parameters of the sentence. He was it was anywhere from 5 to 12 years of prison and 10 to 18 years of probation, and he picked the maximum on both of those.
Did the 12 on 12 incarceration and 18 gave
probation.
you 30 years?
Yeah. Well, I earned those 30 years. He didn't just give it to me. But yeah, 12 years of prison. So with the gain time, I did just over 10 years.
Just over 10 years?
Yeah, 10 years of prison.
That's a decade off. You made it through there. How was your walk while inside of the facility?
So everybody had told me when I was in jail that I was going to like prison a lot better, and I couldn't make any sense of that. That didn't make sense at all. The first time incarceration. But after I did leave the jail and went to Orlando Reception Center, and they were having church services every night, and for people who were familiar with the system, they know you've got some more freedom once you're in prison than you do in the county jail.
Yes.
So I was able to go to the worship service every night, and with my musical background, I was able to start playing with the praise team at the Orlando Reception Center. Things. I was getting some more positive people around me, and able to participate in some things that I love doing, and there was some encouragement there that I needed.
When you're involved in church now, are you developing those relationships? Are you becoming, do you see yourself as somewhat of a leader, or you're kind of just getting involved as far as the church is concerned inside?
I was really just getting involved in that point. Still transient. Wasn't at Orlando very long to really have any of those relationships grow into anything more.
Gotcha.
So that was a brief period of time that I was there, but I was getting involved as much as I could at that time, and then was transferred shortly after that to Swanee.
Swanee, that was your first camp?
That was my first camp.
Oh, man.
It's a gladiator camp.
Oh, man.
Gladiator camp, for those who may not know what that means, what does that mean?
For people around the nation that don't understand what gladiator camp means.
Well, it's basically survival of the fittest. A lot of fighting, a lot of violence, and I've thought about Psalm 91 so many times when I was seeing some of the things that were going on there, some horrible things. But you'll see, 1,000 may fall at your right hand and 10,000 at your left. Is that how it goes? But you will only see it with your eyes; it won't come near you. I could really feel that because I saw a lot of violence there, but it never got anywhere close to me, and I'm thankful to God for that.
Yes, yes. So how were you able? They say grow where you're planted.
hmm
How were you able to grow while you were there in the midst of all that?
Strangely enough, since I was at my first camp, you'd line up and get your job assignments shortly after you arrive, and nobody has a job at Swanee. Everybody's on inside grounds.
A houseman or
Yeah,
something?
houseman. But as we're going through the line, it came my turn to get my job assignment, and there's like a panel of the warden and assistant warden and classifications officers, and they said, "You go stand over there," and I didn't know what that was about, so I went and stood over to the side while everybody else came through the line and got their job assignment until I was the only one left standing there, and this very sweet little lady came over and said, "All right, come with me. We're going to work." So they made me the classifications orderly at Swanee, and so I felt useful. And,
Yes.
I had a purpose. I would wake up and like basically have a job to go to, and I'm interacting with the classification staff and a lot of the volunteers, and was doing that for a couple of months. And one day, one of the volunteers pulled me to the side and said, I've interacted with you, day after day, but wasn't able to speak freely with you. But I'm familiar with you and know some members of your family, and just wanted to say if everything's going to be okay. Kind of the same thing that officer told me in the county jail as he's talking to me through the flap, like just continue the path that you're on. Everything's gonna be okay. You got some hard times that you're gonna have to face, but everything's gonna be okay. And so that it was like God was giving me these messages from time to time, messages of encouragement that there were still people around that that were caring for me and praying for me and wanted to see me succeed even through hard circumstances.
Were you I guess you were at Swanee for a period of time. I know this to be
A brief period of time.
a brief period.
So I think because of my job as a classifications orderly, they took a liking to me and put me on the fast track for the Faith and Character program at Wakulla.
Okay.
So I was only at Swanee for about 3 months, and then plucked up out of there and sent to Wakulla for the Faith and Character program there.
And what was life like? What was that transition like at that time? So you're going to a camp that is dedicated towards faith initiatives, the Bible, Christianity, things of that nature. Of course, there are other faiths there, but for your purpose, you're going there for
Jesus.
Jesus. Amen.
Yeah, it was a culture shock, but in a good way. I was going from the violence and drugs and all the stuff that was going on at Swanee to a place that was dedicated on improvement and trying to turn the bad circumstances around and make something out of the time instead of just being wasted time.
Yes. Mm-hmm. What was your job there? What color?
I believe my first job assignment was, if I'm remembering right, I might have been on inside grounds for just a week or two, and then they changed my job to be the orderly for the assistant warden and colonel and all the staff in the hallway where all the bigwigs are. So I was basically the janitor for people who aren't familiar with the orderly term, but I was around the assistant warden and the warden secretary and the colonel, and so they were looking after me.
Did you take any programs while there? Because that's a program camp.
It is. I took a lot. When I got out of prison, my therapist asked to see the certificates and things that I had gotten from the programs that I was in, and it was like 2 inches tall, the stack of paper. So I was in every program that they offered. Sometimes I took them more than once if I could get involved in. I think this is important for people who are incarcerated and wanting to do something successful with their life when they get out, that they need to start thinking about this on the first day of their sentence. Is how am I going to make the most of this time? So I took a lot of different programs. They had business classes and classes about faith, how to grow in your faith, how to learn how to type, all sorts of different things. And I took every one of them. That's something I would encourage anybody that's watching is get involved in every program that you can get involved with, even if it's maybe not what you would naturally be interested in. There'll be a use for it down the road. If for no other reason than to show to yourself and to the people who are interested in your progress that you're trying to make a change and try to better yourself.
Words well received.
I can say from a standpoint of being in the reentry space and talking with employers, people even with skills, people would be surprised at this statement. I've talked with people who run companies who say, yeah, I want to hire someone that has a background, but what have they done outside of the hard skills to show me that they're a different person? Have they taken an anger management course? Have they taken a victim impact course? And you would be surprised. Well, what do you mean? A CEO, wouldn't he want to know if he could drive a forklift or if he can do some type of plumbing or electrical work? No, they want to know who you are as a person. And so when you say that, I can definitely relate to that in a sense of a real world situation right now where individuals are looking for people who've been reformed, but also who can show that in the form of what have you done since you've been incarcerated? Now, with you, when did you begin, or were you thinking about it the whole time about the reentry process as you're going through your prison sentence? Did you begin to think about it at the middle end, or maybe towards the tail end?
From the very beginning, I was determined to not let this period of time be a complete waste, because I could see people in the dorm just spending the whole day playing checkers or playing cards, and I thought, I can't waste 10 years of my life on playing spades. So I was thinking about it from the very beginning, trying to get involved in classes. I finished my college degree while I was incarcerated. I finished taking my thank you with honors.
Okay, right.
So I finished my degree at the domino table. So the guys playing dominoes, and I'm working on my math class over here, and they'd slam a domino and look over my direction and see the pencils bouncing and rolling off the table. Say, "Oh, my bad, D-Ray." And they're like, "No, I'm at y'all's table. I'm borrowing your space." But I think they respected what I was trying to do, and they shared a little bit with me, so it was all right.
It's amazing what you can do. You're doing homework by the Dominoes table. No, they slamming dominoes. I know they're talking trash to one another. And it's just amazing how much you can do when you really put your mind to it. It don't matter how much in the world, how much noise it is. When you focus in, it's so much you can do when you really want to do it. Yes. Like for real.
Yeah, I was focused at because I knew that there would be an opportunity for life once I got out. And I didn't know what it was going to look like exactly, but I wanted to make sure that I prepared myself to make the most of an opportunity when opportunity presented itself.
And we met at the tail end of your sentence as we go into Polk. Our ministry goes into Polk Hope for the Day Ministries, and I witnessed this young man here, right here. He has a phenomenal voice. I will say, I don't know if we can get this on the podcast, whether we're going to be allowed to sing or not, but definitely.
I'm not a soloist. Better.
He has a phenomenal voice, and you play a few instruments.
Mostly piano and bass guitar, but I play guitar a little bit, and I'm a terrible drummer. Don't let me on a drum set. It's not good.
That tail end of this 10-year bid, what was running through your mind as far as your expectations as you're getting ready to come home? Let's just say the last 6 months or so.
Yeah. There was that last couple of years at Polk were really a couple of the best years of my life through trying times, but as far as building my faith, I worked in the chapel, so I was, doing a lot of clerical stuff, but it was stuff that was supporting the faith and character program, and just being in the chapel. There were a lot of guys that would come in there with spiritual needs time to time, and didn't always want to talk to the chaplain. They wanted to talk to somebody else in blue, who was going through the same thing. Um, but was involved in the chapel in the daytime, and involved in almost every worship service, every Christian worship service that was happening. I was involved with, either in attendance or helping to lead the worship, through the music ministry, that type of thing.
Yes,
But,
yes. You're coming out now. I'm going to put you at the point of where you're about to EOS. You literally, they buzz one door, they're buzzing another, and the next step is out into the parking lot. Who's there? Walk us through that first 24, 48 hours, and then the rest of the reentry process.
That was really overwhelming. Polk CI and Hillsborough County have some kind of deal worked out where your family can't come pick you up from Polk. They take you in a Hillsborough County sheriff's van to the sheriff's office.
So you could register.
I guess to register for probation.
Palm Beach Sago does
Yeah.
that, so I'm
Yeah.
familiar with that process.
But I remember thinking in the van on the way from Polk CI to the sheriff's office, the guy driving the van was going about 40 miles over the speed limit, with construction on the freeway, and thought, well, I had a good run, but it's going to come to end on I-4. I really just closed my eyes and said a prayer and just said, God, you brought me this far. I know I'm not going to die before I get to the sheriff's office. But I was really frightened. I hadn't been in a car in 10 years.
Yeah, the speed moving that fast. Yeah.
But there were several things that were really overwhelming. My sister took me to some thrift stores, and there was one in particular that as part of their mission, they helped people who were going through really, really hard circumstances, and just the love and care that they were providing. It was just overwhelming. I had to just kind of find a corner and just let the tears flow for a little while, just because I wasn't. It was just an overwhelming feeling. Is probably the best way that I could say it. Just the emotions started coming out.
Amen.
Just thankfulness and gratitude for having come that far, and the opportunities that were starting to present themselves for what life was going to be like on the outside. It's just a feeling of gratitude.
How has life been since being home now? What have you been up to? What you been giving back to community?
It's been really amazing. I was through another one of the volunteers at Polk, was provided an opportunity for employment. They actually did a Zoom interview and while I was inside, and hired me right out of prison. So I got out on a Tuesday and I went to work on a Monday, and I've been with them ever since. So
Wow.
it's been a really, really good opportunity. I'm thankful for that, because it's probably better than a lot of guys are presented with when they get out. But I've just tried to make the most of it, and have worked really hard for them, and tried to show them that I was grateful for the opportunity that they gave me. I'm involved with a worship group in the Orlando area that does just kind of random events, worship times at a park or coffee shop, or try to help them and spreading the gospel in those ways.
One thing that I can say that I've seen from a personal note, and I'll share this before the audience, is D-Ray shows up for other people. I can say that.
Yeah, that's good.
Sometimes when you go inside, you don't get to see the men on this side come out, and as we go in to minister to inside of the prisons, it's just a joy to see the men come out and to really truly. This is a man of God. This is a podcast, and there are many men and women of God. Some of them I know in distance, but I can say I know this man personally. And so there's times when I'll say, hey, dearie, I'm having something at this church. He shows up with, people there. They have gatherings where they meet at a house sometimes on Sunday after church, just for people to just come together and just eat and fellowship. And so those are the types of things that I appreciate, because, you know, you're doing it for him, but you also want to see the manifestation of what God continues to do in individuals' lives. So I just wanted to share that. That's a blended blessing to me.
Well, I feel blessed that I can share in those times with you and with others that I still feel valued, and that I still have work to do in the kingdom, even though I've made terrible mistakes. That
Yes.
God can use those things, use your mistakes and make light shine out of darkness. One of my favorite verses is 2 Corinthians 4:6. That talks about that God can make light shine out of darkness. It's on the very first page of the Bible that God said, "Let there be light," and there was light
Yes.
out of the darkness. So
Yeah.
God can use anything for our good and for His glory.
And you were just saying a lot of great things, but if it was any one thing you would want to say to the audience, what would you want to say to the audience out there? Something to give. It's somebody who looking for hope, looking for inspiration. What's a jewel you could drop to people? And it's bigger than Florida out there. Tell our audience something that someone may need to hear, and you could just come from your heart.
Well, maybe a couple of things. Especially for the guys on the inside who are going through some hard times. Don't forget to be compassionate and to love your neighbor. There was sometimes when I was getting frustrated with the people around me and people in the dorm, or just being who they are, I would have to remind myself to let my first instinct be compassion toward the people that I'm around. And the other thing is that the verse in Romans 8:28, that God is working all things together for the good of those who love Him, and that's really true. And sometimes it's in the worst circumstances and things that we can't see and can't understand when we're going through it, but God really is at work, and He's trying to make all of these things work out for our good.
It's good. I'm really touched here. Yeah, I'm touched here. I'm just glad that it's been a full circle moment in here today. It's been a full circle moment here.
It is. I mean, it's been an honor speaking with you. I didn't know that was going to happen, but Holy Spirit has a way of making things happen so that somebody needs to see and hear that in the work that we do, even the work that we're doing here on the Death or Prison podcast, which we have no idea other than the letters that you all send in of the impact that is being made in the lives of individuals. So again, thank you, brother.
Thanks for having me.
David Ray, for coming through and sharing with us the things that God has done in your life and He's continuing to do in your life. This has been the Death or Prison podcast, brought to you by leanonmeusa.org. And this is the Death or Prison podcast, but we say, choose life.
Have a loving Father ready to hold your